Peace and love, y'all. It's your brother A.D.V.I.S, and we are here with another installment of more interviews. And this time we are interviewing another great brother that I've come to know as well as see and listen to musically. It's the brother Phase Farer. So before we get anything continued and started, we're going to give some time for people to come up in the room, and then I'll bring in the proper introduction for the brother to come in, and we will begin this interview. But shout outs to y'all for being in here. Shout outs to those going to be watching this either later on. If not, we'll continue and we'll have more interviews to come. But yeah, speaking of, we got the brother Phase Farer in the building, y'all. So in this particular case, I'm going to go ahead and as more of y'all come in, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to introduce the brother onto the stream. But again, if y'all have some questions too, please throw them down in the comments and we'll add it alongside with this interview. But to get this kicked off and to bring the brother in, I want to go ahead and I want to read off an intro I got for him. So, Phase Farer Vic has been writing and making music on and off for well over 15 years. He started releasing music in 2018 with the group Nomadic Odyssey. Hip hop is fundamental in his art, but he wanted to do things a bit differently. So he returned to his spoken word roots in the summer of 2021. Phase Farer Vic wants to take the time to explore the void between who he is, who he was, and who he wants to be. He wants to form worlds full of various colors, textures, and hues. His hope is to being entertained or inspired that we can make the world a better place. And with that, y'all, I'd like to bring into the room Phase Farer, my brother. What's going on, brother?
Man, I appreciate the intro. Thank you so much.
Oh, of course, brother. Shoot, you the one that did it. What's good, official baby Paul? I see you in the building, brother.
What's
Thank you.
the
Thank you for
camera
tuning
right now?
in.
Right, there we go.
But yes, y'all. So we are here with another more interview. This time again, yes, with the brother Phase Farer Vic, or go by Phase Farer, however you want to end up introducing the man or hearing him by. But again, brother, I appreciate you coming through and having the time today to, sit down and talk with me and let the people know a little bit more about yourself.
Man, I want to appreciate you. You know what it is. Every time I see you, I want to continue to give you your flowers and appreciate you for the community that you're trying to build, the resources you provide, and just your overall energy in person. In these trying times in this world, we need more people like you to
Yeah.
bring out the best in us. So I appreciate you too, fam. Thank you.
Likewise, brother. But I know we got some other things going on that you got, so we'll definitely get right into this interview, y'all.
So, man, I appreciate it.
Yes. Oh, you're good. But with that, y'all, if y'all don't know, this is Phase Farer Vic. Right now, we're going to be getting into an interview about one of his latest projects, which is titled SPAMM. I'm going to let him explain the rest of that throughout the interview, so you'll figure out what he's talking about when it comes to spam. But just be on the lookout. If you're not following, please, there's the little arrow at the top here on Instagram. Click on there and please follow the brother Phase Farer. If not, it got Spotify, all etc. We'll do that as well later on, but just wanted to tune y'all in. So first question I got for you, brother, so people can get an idea. Tell us about yourself and give us a little bit of a brief background of what you do and who you are.
In terms of myself, what's up, y'all? I'm Vic. I am from Sacramento, California, by way of Benin, Nigeria. Nigeria, stand up. We here. Man, I am the oldest of four children. Many more cousins and and stuff like that. Very big extended family, and that kind of shapes how I approach things in the creative space.
Yes.
And understanding, how to lead. I mean, people talk about. I know the running joke with Nigerians is like, "Oh, everybody's a prince," but I've got papers. I've got papers. Hey, what's up, Kunin? I've got papers. And just having that and having being who I am and growing up in Southside in the '90s, when which is well, give me a little tenuous, we'll say, but
Mm-hmm.
I love my city though, and I love that area. The area raised me. Um, yeah, it's all kind of it's having to blend so many things throughout my life. Who I was at home versus who I was,
Yeah.
who I was out there, and having to learn to assimilate because my country, my culture at home is different than you with the brothers is different than how it is at home.
Yeah.
And hip hop helped me so much. Hip hop helped me assimilate. Helped me. Hip hop kind of was a guiding post for what I needed, not for what I needed to be, but to help me communicate and help me kind of blend in and build,
Mm.
build in that world. So that's why I truly think of hip hop as a resource, and
Yes.
um, and yeah, because it helped build me. Now I want to continue to build it. You will see me wiping. It's really hot in this room. Part of the reason why I gotta. So, you'll see me
Bring
wiping
that
away
towel,
right
your
here.
performance towel,
You back?
that be
Yeah,
on stage. They just be
yeah,
like,
yeah,
mm.
yeah, yeah,
Oh
yeah.
man, but beautiful. Okay. Next thing with that, brother, is if you're willing and wanting to share, what are you currently doing for occupation and job?
This is the one that catches a lot of people, especially melanated people. I actually work for the California Department of Child Support Services, and
Wow.
yeah, I know people are like, "What? Oh, you're the enemy," but nah. I always, I always wanted to do things to help people, right?
Yeah.
And in my part of being in my culture, we have a lot of doctors, nurses, civil servants,
Yeah.
that I've always been around, grew up in. Both my parents are civil servants. My mom was a nurse. My dad's an accountant.
Oh wow.
So, I always knew that, I wanted to get into something like government to help people, right?
Mm-hmm.
We already know the things wrong with the system, right?
Yes.
It is what it is. But my perspective and our perspective is we came from a country that had very little, right? In
Mm.
terms of government structure. I mean, Nigeria is one of the most corrupt countries on the planet,
Yeah.
right? We've
Yep.
lost family to corruption, to corrupt police, to corrupt military.
Mm.
So, and we hear them our whole life, even as kids, they've always talked about it, right? And of course, how good we have it, even though it's not perfect here, right? It could always be worse. It could be way worse, right?
Yep.
So I wanted to make sure that I do what I can do to build. So, and build,
Mm.
build our communities and make this world a better place for everybody. That's just my overall ethos.
Yeah.
Um, so my road to here was interesting, right?
Yeah.
Because I graduated college in 2009. There were no jobs. There were negative jobs. So I actually I actually started working with people with developmental disabilities,
Mm.
autism, Down syndrome, and co-occurring disorders, whether they be physical or mental. And that was hard work because I was essentially a caregiver for a couple years, and
Mm.
helping with all sorts of basic needs, cooking food, bathroom needs, transportation, that kind of thing. I then promoted to be more of a job coach, so helping people in that community find jobs and coach them on the job.
Yeah.
But like most work in social services, it didn't pay well. So then I went corporate. You know what I'm saying? And then I went to work for essentially Allstate, with Insurance, the subsidiary of Allstate, and
Mm.
I
Were
was
you in good
making,
hands?
the bread was nice.
Oh, okay.
The bread was nice. I was in good hands, but you know what? It wasn't fulfilling because that was around 2012, and of course,
Okay.
we started what we kind of started seeing with Mike Brown, Trayvon Martin. So, I was like, you know what? I kind of wanted to get back to my ethos and then wanted to really try to become a police officer, right? Because I
Mm.
was like, these things can happen anywhere. They happen in my city. So I actually ended up getting invited to go to the academy. And but at the time you had essentially had to pay, right? You had to
Mm.
pay to try to become a cop, which is weird. But
Oh,
the way the budget was,
okay.
they didn't have a lot of some of the sponsored spots, right? They have
Mm-hmm.
spots that are sponsored, but not everybody's eligible for the sponsorships. So,
Gotcha.
I'm there putting in the work, doing all this stuff, and I'm like, and you would think on paper, African American man, basically raised in the city with 2 degrees,
Mm-hmm.
would be a prime candidate, but I really wasn't. And I tried almost for off and on, or really not off and on, but straight for 3 years to get in with either actually three organizations up here: SAC Sheriff, SAC
Okay.
PD, and then
Okay.
Stockton PD.
Hmm.
And I was out there doing the tests and all that, but I realized what I kept seeing is people, very few who look like me,
Yeah.
they keep going ahead in the process, but I keep getting stuck. And I was like, okay, well, what's up? Oh,
Yeah.
it's then you hear this, that, and the third, and it's like, oh, okay, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
I see what's going on here. So I was like, you know what? Let me just try and go somewhere else. And then I applied and got an interview with Sacramento County Department of Child Support Services. And what was
Mm.
crazy is though, it's I know the history and whatnot, and I was studying for this interview, but when I got there, right, you know, director's black, assistant director's black.
Mm.
And the staff is very diverse. Shout out if anybody from there sees it, shout out to them, man, right? Because it was a
Mm.
very eye-opening experience. Because then it's like hearing them talk. Because I had questions in the interview, right?
Yeah.
And we talked about the stigma. We talked about all this, right? And how we have to better educate people, and we have to make sure that we change the narrative from what it was. Very trying to be very punitive, right? Court orders, they're sending people to jail for not paying your child support, whatnot, to
Yeah.
try to make it more, we're trying to work with you. We're trying to help you co-parent. We're giving you all the resources. And I was like, yo, I'm with that. That I could do, right? So I was in court, when these orders were established and having to talk to people and explain to them the system and the game. I
Yeah.
had to really try to, explain to people, what's going to happen, what you need to do, because it's a very complicated situation, right? You're dealing with your kids, your significant other, or somebody you had kids with, whether that be your spouse or whoever, and
Yeah.
your money,
Mm.
right? And that trifecta of emotion and finance is dang it can get hot. So
Yeah.
we have to kind of learn how to mediate, and it's kind of where, again, MCing and being able to think on the fly and make connections comes in. That hip hop comes back, because then you kind of have
Mm.
to learn how to relate to people and kind of humble yourself and be in the moment and really listen to what people are
Mm.
saying, to try to really make things happen and go forward, right? And really
Mm.
continue to educate. So,
Yeah. Yeah, it's very true. I know you got a lot on that too, but speaking of, since you brought it back to MCing and hip hop, we know now a little bit of the job history that you got, but now I want to know, when did you begin creating the music? And the second question to that is, what inspired and pushed you to create music? Since we're talking about the MC.
so my first foray into making music was in 2005.
Mm.
Shout out to my homegirl Bree. I remember I had the dustiest laptop with the bootleg
Better than
version of
mine.
May have been. You may have my old laptop. Let me put it like that. You may have my old laptop, but I remember I got the $20 mics from Target, and we were like, yo, let's do this. And we were just finding instrumentals. I remember one of the first track or most memorable tracks we recorded over with Elevators.
Oh.
Uh, and we you know, for the most part, we feel like we killed it. You know what I'm saying? We felt like we killed it. And that's when I was like,
Yes.
yo, okay, I can do this. But before that, the thing that really inspired me, right, was during that same time period, man, I was I was in the thick of it mentally,
Mm,
right?
mm,
And your boy was suicidal. We're gonna come out with it. I was not in the best mental health state. And I remember
mm,
I was just I was not in a good spot. So I remember one night in my in that haze, I'm up, and this is the night. It was in February 2005. I'm pretty
mm,
sure it was the day that Dilla died, or yeah, it was the day that Dilla died. And I remember I was watching
mm.
Adult Swim, and I'm um watching Adult Swim, and they playing what the song that I now know is MASH. I'm hearing this piano, dun, 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 and I'm like, the hell is this? This mess is going a little hard. Like, what is this? And then
Mhm.
you're like,
Mhm.
oh, Jay Dilla. Oh man, like I gotta look that up. And then literally as I'm getting, going over to the laptop or whatever, then I hear the intro to Samurai Champloo Battle Cry. Wah, wah,
Yeah.
boom, boom. And I was like, whoa, hold up. And I'm sitting there watching, you know, sitting there watching, all the color, the intro was dope, all the colors and stuff. And you
Yes.
hearing this dude, and the beat is crazy. And you hear this dude come on and spit these bars. You're like,
Mhm.
who is this? Who is this? Right? And I'm like, okay. Then you get in. Then I'm like, okay, you gotta get back to LimeWire. Okay, Samurai Shampoo. Who's this? Okay, Fat John, Nuja Bass. Oh, Shingo too. That's the rap. And that was that. That was
Yes.
that. That's when because what it did is it changed how I listen to music, and it showed me that okay, this dude obviously doesn't sound like anybody on the mainstream, but he's still bringing that heat, that essence. Like,
Yes.
yo, how do I gotta get back to doing my part and start laying down my foundation. So that was when I first started, but I was trying to graduate. I was trying to, do things. So yeah, for a minute I was doing open mics and the whole time I've been writing poetry. I've been writing poetry since I was 15, like
Okay.
seriously,
Mhm.
right? Um, that that I honestly kind of struggle with because I knew I had a potent pen when I remember I recited something I wrote for my parents. And this was in
Mm.
2000. This was in 2002,
Wow.
mid Bush era. Because we're seeing that's when we were really starting to not we were really starting to see, but we were really starting to see the effects of 9/11 on melanated people,
Yes.
right? Right. So it's like it and especially being from that, we have family members that are Muslim. So
Yeah.
it's like, we starting to see what's happening. And I remember I wrote a poem about that was very anti-government, right? And
Mhm.
my parents were like, and Nigerian parents were brutally honest. They're like, yo, they say yo, but they're like, my son, this is very good, but you can't read this out right now. I'm like, why? Because I'm thinking in my kind of pseudo American mind, they're thinking like they back home,
Yeah.
right? Or not even that they back home. There's a very real possibility that somebody could hear that and I could get taken in because we know they were tapping. Silent Quality told us they were tapping the lines, right?
Yeah.
So it's it was that's I kind of not that I strayed away from it, but I kind of didn't really come out with it because I thought my parents were bugging, right? So I was like, well, I don't want to deal with deal
Yeah.
with them. In hindsight, they were really protecting me, right? So I kind of put it
Mhm.
away. I still wrote and stuff like that. Still wrote. I remember I wrote a poem in French for a final, and wrote a rap in French. It was dope. It was dope. And my teacher was like, "Oh yeah," it's like, "Yeah, I've been doing this." So I had the gift was encouraged, but I
Yes.
really didn't get back into it until I was in college. And then I
Gotcha.
took a break, whatever. Woo, woo, woo. Was started making beats again and making music again in 2015. Starting to put
Mhm.
things together. Got my DAW Reaper. Starting to trying to get back, learning how to record and then it wasn't really probably till about 2018 I started doing these online ciphers. Um, and that's how I came across Russ and many of the folks that kind of were the foundation of Nomadic Odyssey.
Mm.
Uh, but yeah, I would hear this British cat getting it. Like, who is this? Who is this dude? Who is this dude from the UK killing it right now? And why is he not winning? It's because, you know, and shout out to the Making Hip Hop crew, but like back then, yeah, if you didn't have a Logic type flow, you know what I'm saying?
Mm.
You really weren't getting, because, you know, the population was, you know. So,
Mhm. Mhm.
so, you know, it is what it is. But like, but you know, people still broke through. Shout out to the homie legendary Summit. You know, A.D.V.I.S.S, MC Razor. Like, we found people that were, you know, like dope and doing it. And, you know, those are people I still connect with, work with, collab with today.
Yeah.
And, you know, that was really the foundation of kind of me really taking this seriously, because I felt
Mhm.
like I had to graduate, I had to get a decent job, I had to do all that.
Yeah.
Then I can be creative, right? I'm a Cancer, so I think I had to build my shell. You know what I'm saying? Make sure my shell
Mm.
was cool, and
Mhm.
now I can get into it. And one thing too is like, because I took all the time and I have bread and I was stable,
Yeah.
I knew that I always have the freedom to make the music that I wanted to make. Because when you have to rhyme to eat, the market kind of dictates what you do, right?
Mm.
It's
Mm.
not. I mean, every now and then you have people that they just got that supreme talent. They can
Yeah.
break through and do anything. But for most, they're just gonna make what sounds popular because they're trying to get paid, because they got
Yeah.
to eat.
Yeah.
And that's not a knock at all. Get your bag. But I knew that I knew that I was gonna make some different stuff.
Mhm.
So I kind of knew I had to make sure I had my things in order before I could really move forward.
Yes. Mm. I'm glad that you said that. And I mean, with that is like that's where you start to really figure out specifically like what are you really doing this art for, and like what are you truly wanting to get out of the art form itself. Is it really because you want to follow the trend, or are you doing this really to express yourself and find those points and parts of who you really are through this art? Which, speaking to that, my next question is, I was very interested from reading from the intro that you gave me, brother,
Mm.
that the main thing that really reached out to me was the part where it says Phase Farer Vic wants to take the time to explore the void between who he is, who he was, and who he wants to be.
Yeah.
So, with my question on that is, tell me why this is important to you, and talk about the idea of reinventing yourself, because it seems as that you've made these transitions from, of course, original 2005 dropping what you did, but then also the poem back way back when, and now finding your
Mm-hmm.
way back to the realm of MCing through a different lens. So tell me
Mm.
again, why is this important to you, and um, how do you feel? Talk about reinventing yourself.
Well, I feel like regardless of what you do in life, right, who you are in life, you
Mm-hmm.
have to be able to introspect and reflect, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's an essential tool that we have, especially being men of our caliber and people of our caliber. We have to be able to build on the lessons that we've learned from the past, learn from
Yes.
stimuli in the present, and always keep the future in mind. And even
Mm-hmm.
though that future self is constantly evolving and changing, and things in the moment are always in flux, and even how we remember the past,
Yeah.
right, may also be jaded. We have to take these things and continually process them, right? My favorite, my favorite type kind of music, regardless of genre, is the music that has that deep introspection and reflection. Which is why during that
Yeah.
time period, before I found, Nugibus and Hideout, before that, Common was my main repertoire. I had the whole catalog up until that point, the whole catalog, right?
Yeah.
And hearing this brother just get in and really talk about things, You know, I feel like these are conversations that people need to have with themselves and conversations they need to have with each other. Right.
Mm.
So it's in that is just where I wanted to build from, right? Because
Mm.
the world, even the world is always in flux. The world is always changing. And so are we.
Yes.
But I feel like there's a part of us that's always a constant. There's always a part of, you can call it the soul, you can call it the spirit or whatever it is. And even though that thing is kinetic, right?
Yes.
It's still constant. So we have to always kind of embody that. And I wanted to take time to really continue to embody that. Now,
Mm.
now, you know, when I was making music with Nomadic Odyssey, big shout out to the crew, you know, we were just about, yo, let's get these bars. Let's fit. Let's, you know, let's just show these let's show them our music, let's show them our wordplay, let's show them what we about, right? Let's show them our energy.
Yeah.
And one thing that I noticed is, you know, also as a fan of the genre, you know, we were doing that, but wasn't hearing those conversations, right? The
Mm.
conversations about reflection, the conversations about trying to grow, the conversation, especially during the panorama, people we
Yeah.
losing her, you know, I call it the herd,
Her.
we losing goats, we losing the herd is thinning, right? Where is that music that we need? And you know, we had some people come up with top, you know, some top quote unquote top artists, you know, I say quote unquote because, you know, it's all subjective,
Yes.
right? You know, no disrespect. You know, we had some great albums drop this year and last, but those people who were considered at the top weren't really having these kinds of conversations, not really saying the things that I felt like people needed to hear,
Yeah.
right? And so I'm going through this, you know, listening to this and going through this. And at the same time, production wise, I'm like, you know, I want to kind of get away from sampling. I want to try something new. I really want to bring my impact, right? Bring my, you know, and there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it. Trust me. Trust me.
Yeah.
I sample more than anything. Don't hear them and just do what I do. But I just wanted to find a way to almost make the music that I wanted to make. So, you
Mm.
know, I just wanted to kind of have a clean slate and just like do whatever I want to do. You know, not worry about, I mean, everybody in the group was hyper supportive.
Yeah.
Um, I just needed to do that because I was like, I need to get back to that kid, not even the dude in 2005, the kid in 2003, who really had something to
Mm.
say about the world that was going on around him, because some of those problems still persist or have progressed and gotten worse. And, you know, 18 years later, you know, we are where we are now.
Yeah.
And in a way, some ways it's beautiful because now we're able to have conversations like this. It's dope. But in a lot of ways, we're worse off because I feel like because we're trapped in these silos, you
Mm-hmm.
know, by design, by the way,
Yeah.
by a
Yeah.
lot of the algorithms that we use to consume our content, we're losing the humanity. I remember Chris talked about this. Shout out to Chris Mallett. We're losing the
Mm-hmm.
humanity and seeing each other's humanity. And that's
Mm-hmm.
and you know, and of course that conversation happened after, but he put words to what I was trying to do with this project, with the reinventing myself. So it's
Yeah.
funny because in order to move forward, I harken back to something in the past,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
now now I had to realize in the present tense that's what I needed to do. And that's what I
Mm.
started to do. So I started putting the project together, and I say it was like the most productive, creative breakdown I ever had. Cause it's like I
Mm.
knew I had to go back to the bottom, right? And I was like,
Yes.
I was making stuff, but it's sad as an artist when you're making stuff, but you don't really feel it. And that's
Yes.
part of it is because I'm hypercritical of myself. There's nothing anybody in this world can say that is more critical than what I say to myself. And that's
Mm.
just because that goes back to my parents. If you want to do something, you got to do it well. And
Yes.
I have no problem, quote unquote, failing,
Yes.
but I'm gonna leave it all on the floor before I do that. I'm
Okay.
gonna leave
And
it.
yes.
I'm gonna fall on my shield before I throw in the towel, right? That's just who I am. That's who I am as a person. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
I'm gonna fight till the finish. And win or lose, I left it all. I don't want to say I lost because I didn't do enough, right?
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's the same thing with the music. I always
I feel
wanted
that.
to, always wanted to leave it out there. So yeah,
Dang. That's again, that's almost the warrior mentality when you going in there with that. Is like, yo, especially when you have something to fight for and something to share and give out to the world. So it's very important to have that, that why and that mission behind, why you are truly doing something besides not only for the love, not just for the money, but also because of the fact of that art needed to be shared and that message or something had to be put out and you want to do it through um your, not particularly just saying your way, but just the creative way that you know how to get it across to people. So
word.
with that, because you was already talking about it, I want you to talk a little bit about your current project that we're talking about out that's called SPAMM. And my question behind that, when you talk about SPAMM and explain it, is why did you name the project SPAMM in particular? So if y'all don't know, it's spelled SPAMM, but it stands for something, but I'm gonna let the brother explain. And what does this signify? Like, what does it mean when you're talking about SPAMM?
Man, spam. A shout out to Wrap It Out podcast, but also in here. They got the first story. So originally, the poem, the name of the project, and before I even get into the title, basically I wanted to get back to the spoken word poetry, and I wanted to find a way to combine the spoken word, hip hop, music, minimalism, and just I basically wanted the project to be kind of chill because I feel like that was the medicine that we needed. The world is hot. I
Mm.
want to be cool, right? So I wanted to do that. So, but at first I really had no confidence in what I was doing.
Yeah.
So originally the project was called Shitty Poems. I mean, yeah, Shitty Poems on Mellow Moods. Got to get into my A.D.V.I.S. to do the acronym. But then I was like, as I'm doing the project, and I was like, well, hold on, these poems aren't that bad.
Mm-hmm.
So then, and I was like, maybe for marketing purposes, I should call it Strange Poems on Mellow Moods.
Mm.
So I was like, Strange
Mm.
Poems on Mellow Moods, and that kind of hit at what I was trying to do. Uh, I knew it was going to be weird. I knew it was going to be different, right? And just the process I used to produce and record was different. I
Mm-hmm.
literally gave myself about an hour and said, okay, you're going to make a beat, you're going to do a quick mix, you're going to record it, and you're going to be done. At least for the initial pass, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so what I found was I ended up, if I, in most cases, I didn't have anything written. 85% of the album is freestyles. No lie.
Mm.
First
Wow.
half, first half of Fiends is a Khalil Gibran poem because at first I started like let me start here, let me get some inspiration,
Yeah.
and then let me just get into what I want to do. So, span Fiends and Oh Well. The first part is of course writing that isn't mine. It's Khalil Gibran.
Mm.
But then after that, then it's all freestyles. Most of the poems, I just was kind of sitting and talking with myself in that in various moments. Um, it's and yeah, Khalil Gibran. If you don't listen to a second of my music, go read Khalil Gibran. Go read The Madman. Go read The Prophet. Go read The Beloved. I recommend The Beloved. Um, yeah, if you don't listen to a second of my music, go read Khalil Gibran. That's my takeaway. Interview over, done. I'm just kidding. But so it was literally all the songs were like made like that.
Yeah.
Just okay, you got end of the night, 30 seconds, or there's 30 minutes, an hour, go, right? And what it did is it allowed me not to overthink things, which is my greatest creative flaw, is to overthink, especially God with mixing. That is my struggle. So because I'll get in. I could listen to the same piece of audio information 200 times an hour and tweak it in. It's good, but it's not good.
Yes.
So it just freed me from that because then I kind of had to live with how it sounded, right? It's just like, okay, well, it is what it is. You try to clean it up, get it, do the mixing, mastering, and and it's done. At the same time, I'm making spam because I'm in this creative way, right?
Yes.
I'm I'm making a lot of music. I made between the two projects, Spam, which is out now, and then Works, which is an instrumental album that's dropping the 7th November. Um,
Very soon.
I've made, I'd say, between 40 and 50 tracks in 3 weeks. Like I just was churning these out, and in not very much time either. There was some nights I made three mixed recorded songs in 3 hours, just because we're just going with the sound, we're going with the
Hmm.
feeling, the emotions that we're trying to convey, and we're not getting caught up doing exactly overthinking. Overthinking can be good or bad. I think the comment hit it on it could be great because you're using your discernment to really listen and try to build a vision.
Yeah.
But when you can't let go and that discernment takes hold because it becomes cancerous in a way. It just wants to keep, well, how about this? Well, then you change this. Well, you change the kicks, now you have to change bass. And then now the bass may be clipping. So now you need to go back and take a look at the other music. Well, it's
Yeah.
it's not good.
Yeah.
We have to, as people, we have to be able to let things go and accept things as they are. This is
Yeah.
nature, right?
Hmm.
This is nature. Nature is what it is. And man has tried to control nature for a millennia.
Hmm.
And
To no
we have
avail.
to no avail. We have failed. um, and I think we have to accept things about our own nature, right? There are some things about ourselves that, yes, well, of course we can change, right? But it's okay to accept ourselves for who we are in any given moment, and
Yeah.
again, try to move towards that future stuff.
Mm. Hey, and that's beautiful. And that's all based off of strange poems and all mellow moods in your mind and your brain and just all of that. The process, that's a really dope process. I know a lot of artistic friends that I know of. That's one thing, as well as very intellectual folks. Is the overthink is what really kills the drive for a number of things that they do. It gets to a point where they're unsure of their art and not wanting to put it out and progress. And
Or,
I feel, not feel. I know that ultimately, hinders not only the growth, but it also hinders the fact of initially, if you want to get that message out there to people, you're taking so much time to a point where you just might decide one day you don't want to even put it out no more. Who knows? You putting that song out could have just helped influence one person's day. You don't necessarily know the impact and the greatness of a song that you might think is maybe mediocre or whack, somebody else think is a classic. So never
yeah,
be afraid to, put your art out, especially when, it's needed at that time and you feel that it's needed at that time and you put it out there. I
yeah,
know I've been surprised myself when I've done things of that nature. So yes, overthinking, honestly, it could be a superpower, but at the same time, it could be a kryptonite. So just depending on how you use it and learning to balance that is very important. Um, with that, brother, I wanted to at least talk about a track or two from there. At least for me,
okay.
on Spam, when
Hmm.
it comes to the track that like captured me, when it just comes to the words, just listening to the words in the feel, brother. Every time I go back, man, it's Hill. I don't know why, man, but Hill it's just it. I listen to it, and every time I hear the words, man, it's like it cuts every time, but like in a, you know, a very good way. Like you have a way with words just on this whole thing.
Thank you, brother.
Especially,
Thank
I
you.
mean, especially of course with the opening track. Shouts out to, you know, June Seba, you know, rest in peace. But like that was a beautiful homage and poem to him. But I just like I said, every time I go back and listen to Hill, it's just something just about the way that you've put the words together that is so stringent and poignant every single time. Um, but I wanted to give you your flowers on that track, man, in particular. Very dope. And when it comes to production, when hearing the sound of certain tracks,
Mm.
yo, I like the map music, bro. I just me,
Hey,
I you know I love drums, bro. I love how they hits, bro. I love you know what it reminds me of, and I don't
mm.
know if this was your intent, but it just popped in my head. It reminds me of Fat John, bro. The way that you produce that track, it reminds me of Fat John. And for those who don't know who Fat John is, please go do your research. FATJON. Oh
The
my
ample
gosh, the
soul
Amplo Soul
position.
provide, man, go listen to Fat John. If you love some jazz hip hop, please go listen to some Fat John. But that's what I got the feel from, and that's what made me just connect to just it sonically. I was like, yo, it's just tight. Like I said, you have a great production all the way through for it just to be an hour for like each particular track, or if not, I'm just like, yo, it sounds great. These sound like some really great mixes and just throwdowns, man. Like, there's really
Thank
good.
you. Thank you. Thank you.
But
I mean,
my
I did go
question,
back. Full disclosure, I did go back and do a little bit of mix, because you have to, and I didn't have to do a lot. Now, I'll
yeah,
keep it above. This is like, okay, let me compress this here, EQ, send it through the limiter, then it's done, right? I didn't have to do a ton, but yeah, I'm not gonna say and pretend like the song was, release ready when I was done, but
yeah,
it was almost there. I got things as solid as they could be in that time, and
yeah,
then it just went back and I was like, I can't. Almost do the same thing for the quote unquote master. I know people feel a particular way about it,
right
but
about that.
to get it ready for release, I was just like, okay, real quick, let me get in and then just get it out. Don't let me not get caught up
Yeah. Oh yeah,
because
you got to
yeah,
get time for that. You got to get time for that. Like it's very understandable, but just the process of you sitting down and doing that, at least to get the whole idea set and straight within an hour, that's really dope. Some people, you know, we're not gonna do comparisons, but yeah, everybody has their time and their limit when it comes to creating their art. But that aspect of really to also beat out the overthinking is really dope. Um, from there, I wanted you real briefly. You tell me really what song or track or poem really connected with you the most when creating this?
ooh, the most
Think you
man,
can.
man, there's so many. I like a couple. First off, thank you, Hill. Hill is what it's funny. Hill is a vision of my future self. Of course,
Mm,
I know I'm going to keep rhyming. I'm going to keep doing things. I'm going to keep doing this. And I think that this is another thing too. Is in this creative breakdown,
yes.
I was very close to hanging it up. People close know that. I was very close to being like, you know what? Let me just play my video games and work my job. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's just this is. But I was like, nah. You know what? Let me try to do this. Let me try to make this music that I want to make. Right? Let me try to give
Mm,
people what I think they need. And the reception's been what it's been. So thank you. Hill, I wanted to tell the story, right? I wanted to work that aspect of it, right, and still kind of build in, words and poetry, and still build in rhyme. I'm still an MC at the end of the
yes.
day. Remember, the hip hop is foundational,
Yeah.
and the song. I mean, the track is what it is. I won't spoil it for those who heard it, but the end, yeah, I had to think that because it was that concept, that emotion
Hmm.
that allowed for all of this. And, and then to Matt music, yeah, Matt music, I got in my Fat John bag. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's those keys is Fat John underrated. Uh, I found him through, the Hideout, Nujabes, and completely changed the way 5Ds, incredible MCs, going again. If you don't listen to a second of my music, fine. We're gonna hit you with something you need. Go listen to Fat John. Go listen to 5Ds. Go listen to Pace Rock. Kyle David. Those MCs are crazy
Mm.
too. Hideout,
Hey,
Uyama Hiroto, Haruka Nakamura. Um,
we know
it
the
will change
list.
your life. Huh?
Yes. We
Yeah,
in the list,
yeah.
a list of so many more. And
Marcus D, and all the people that came after that, just yeah, we can all day. Especially with me and Ad, when we start talking about that lineage,
oh yeah,
man,
yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah.
but yeah, go listen to that. But yeah, I
It's game
definitely got
over.
in that. But to answer your question though,
Mm-hmm.
it's Beans. Beans is when I knew I was on to something because
Mm.
I remember making the beat and was like, hmm, okay, like that boom, using that double bass, doom, 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 and then I played the piano, the keys a bit, and I was like, hmm, okay,
Yes.
let me add some horns to this, and then I was like, I don't want it to sound like jazzy, almost wanted to sound kind of like ominous, right? So I'm building this, and
Mm.
I'm like, okay, and I was like, I kind of want to do a poem, but I didn't have anything written. I was like, let me read this Khalil Gibran poem, read it, and I was like, let me read this. So then
Yeah.
I read it, and I was like, okay. Then I realized I still have the track list. So after I'm
Mm-hmm.
done reading this verse, I'm like, freestyle. The amalgamation of my frustration can be quantized or calculated. And then I just kept going, and then I was like, okay, I'm just gonna just free and just do whatever, do whatever, comes out of me. And then finally was like, let me add some ad libs in here that are the, bring some energy and ask some questions in a different exactly. So, little spices and seasoning, contact to calculated, just kind of like just weird, different kind of just to kind of keep moving things along. And it was then I was like, things may have been the first track actually of the project. And that's why I was
Mm.
like, hmm, I could do this. Like this can be a thing. And it kind of
Mm.
it's a perfect kind of like there's poetry in it. The production is interesting. The freestyles in it. It's like to me, it's one of the now just the combination of everything I wanted to do.
Yes.
That and old ways. Um,
Okay.
Old ways. I know it is different. It is that one was almost from my sisters. We were fans of all sorts of music, but my sister Joy, shout out to my sister Joy. She is a doctor in Seattle, doing her residency right now. But
Mm.
she is also hypercritical in my music kind of history because she was very into rock, right?
Yeah.
So I remember growing up, we were heavy into she introduced me to the Killers, and then she
Mm.
introduced me to this band called The National,
Okay. Yeah.
which if you haven't, again, don't listen. If you don't still listen to my music, go listen to the National. Especially if you're into any kind of music. The National is they acoustically. Oh my god, they do they're almost to me they're almost like the roots of rock.
Hmm.
Like they can play anything and they can do any sort of rock that they want to do. And peep this, but many people who don't know.
Yeah.
If you wonder why Taylor Swift has evolved and her music became different than what it was, and people actually like, yo, there's some depth here. She linked up with them on her last album, so there's a
Mm.
lot of producer credits. They collab on a lot of stuff. So it's like they've got their musical credits. People from all genres mess with them. So it's like go listen to them. But she
Gotcha.
introduced me to them, and the lead singer Matt Berninger. The reason why I really like the group is because I love singers with deep voices, and because I have the kind of a deeper voice myself.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's like I heard the beat. Of course, I made the beat and I heard it. I was like, instead of trying to, like, I'll be nice to kind of, trying to work my vocal register a little bit. Like, I'm not gonna say that I
Mm.
can sing.
Yeah.
I know my pocket. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? I know my pocket. I know my range, and that's where I'm comfortable. And I'm going to keep it there. I'm not going to try to do too much. I may do too little. But I wanted to kind of bring that. So and the track was just very open and expansive that I wanted to talk about. kind of just like nature and the power of
Mm,
nature and how we, we need to reconnect with nature, right? And the
yes.
things we do to nature, even though nature, does so much for us. Um, and I wanted to kind of combine that with, our own doubts, reckon with our own nature, right?
Mm,
So, we talk about doing things and we always point at other people, but, we have the plank in our own eye, thine own eye,
yes.
right? Um, and yeah, that track was just something different. And I heard it and I was like, we're going to end on this note. We're going to end on this note. And we did.
It's a very proper, that was a very proper way to definitely end on that note and for it to tie right back in if somebody goes back in for a second listen. Um, I know we're getting close on certain times right now. So I got three more questions I at least want to get to you. If we don't
Okay.
get to all of them, it's all good. But I at least want to switch over and throw you kind of maybe a fun or a question that'll throw you off. So I got at least one for you, and then we'll go right back into the other ones. So appreciate you again sharing and
For
all the
having
wisdom and insight, man. I got a would you rather question for you. I had to. I got to come up with my would you rather question. So just
me.
gear up. Get
I,
ready. All right. So, and anybody else in the comments, you can join too. You can answer it. So my would you rather question is: would you rather have the ability to see 10 minutes into the future,
okay.
but you have to tell the truth for the rest of the day,
Hmm.
or see 150 years into the future, but you lose 10 years of memories?
Man, that is the scale on that is mad different. So
Yes.
let's okay, I'm leaning towards the first because I'm honest anyway. I'm gonna tell you what it is regardless. So I'm not losing anything. But at the same time, too, my memory is shot. So me losing 10 years of some things, I already kind of lost five. COVID took another two. So it's like 150 years? It's funny
Yeah.
though. I'm leaning towards the second. And here's why. I
Mm.
think it's for me to be able to see 150 years into the future, and I think I'd be willing to sacrifice that not just for myself, but for others around me and for the world. You know what I'm saying? Because
Mm.
I think we need to know. You know, we need to know what's happening because I can kind of foresee what's happening, but of course, nobody knows.
Yeah.
But to be able to see it and to warn people and to and to be able to just do that for the world, I think I would do that because
Yeah.
the first is cool, but I'll do that already.
Peace, D.
Hey man, I need to hit that dude up. D&D, uh, that I'm realizing what it is that they do, and I just heard a track from shout out to the homie Determine, um, from his album, and D&D Dom from D&D
Yeah.
is a complete animal. My
Mm.
God. And I was just listening to this track. I was like, we got to connect. It's nasty. Anyway, big shout out, man.
Man, that's what's up. But dang. Um, I definitely appreciate that answer. I didn't know where it was gonna go. I just put it out there and I just wanted to see. That's why coming up with this is like very eye-opening to see where people's intentions and their thoughts are when it comes to questions of this nature. I mean, personally for me, I will go with the first one for sure, just because of the fact that at least being able to see 10 minutes, like something very similar to that, but knowing me, like I know how precious memories can be. And it really depends on like, okay, what part of the
Mm.
10 years, what part of the 10 years are you going to take away? Is it the beginning first 10 years of the life? Is it midway? Is it, so it's like, for me, like, again, it's all the thinking behind it, but I definitely commend you on the respect on like thinking like, 150 years in the future towards, the advancement of just not, yourself, but just others around you. So, like,
Yeah,
shots to
and I
that.
look at it like this: like, just because I can't remember doesn't mean I can't relearn. So I figured 10 years of people are going to have to educate me anyway. So, you know what I'm
You
saying?
sound
Y'all
like
going
you're
to have
gonna
to fill
lose
me.
your ABCs or something. Like you ain't
I,
gonna be able to count
I
anything.
just make it 10 years from now, like, look, okay, so you're going to take me back to 2011? That's fine. You know, I'm going to come back to the present. Like, hi, I'm your wife. Well, really? All right, I like that. Cool. It is what it is.
uh,
It's my house. I
uh,
don't have a house. Cool. You know what I'm saying? Like,
so goofy. And but yeah, with that, brother, I know again, I would love to, throw some more questions at you, but I got this last one for you, and then we're out for today's interview again. Shout outs to everyone that's been in here commenting and showing the love, as well as shout outs to Phase Farer Vic for coming through and sharing, perspectives and sharing his music and his, wisdom and knowledge with us. The last question I got for you, very, you know, straightforward if everyone end up taking it. But when it comes to life and it comes to music, anything in the aspect of that, um, quality or quantity?
mm, the context could be very different,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
right? I think it's quantity of what or quality of what? The
Mm-hmm.
quality of suffering or quantity of suffering?
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's a tough question, but um, I would say, you know what? Funny, now that I think about it, I'm going to change my mind. I was going to say quality.
Mm.
I will say quantity. And here's why.
Mm.
Because if you have a lot of something, right, you have some to spare. So that leaves you some to share. Whether it's good or bad, you're going to have to eventually determine
Yeah.
the quality on your own, right? The two are linked,
Yes,
especially
of course.
in creativity or music. So, but I will say quality because the numbers game,
Oh, the
whatever it
quantity.
is, the
Yes.
quantity. Excuse me, or the quantity because of the numbers game. Because something of that is going to be really bad.
Yeah.
Something of that is going to be amazing once in a lifetime, as opposed to holding on to the same thing because you think it's good.
Mm.
Quality is subjective. You
Mm.
can think, hey, this thing is the worst, this thing is the best, but you won't know until you've had a lot of them. Look at
Mm.
relationships. Look at
Yes.
relationships. You may stick with the same person because of quality. This is good. This is nice. I'm content. But you won't have any frame of reference without quality. I mean, without quantity, without going through and having some really good ones, having some really bad ones, and so on. So everything in between. So
Mm-hmm.
at first I was like, yeah, quality is where it's at. But I think quantity. I think the number of something. I want to hear your answer.
Mm.
I'm curious about what you got to say about this.
Oh, me?
Yeah, you.
I agree with you. Like I put that out there, of course, because it's always something that's talked about in, all aspects, whether, interviews like this, just in modern times, like, oh, is it quality versus quantity? Knowing that the two, again, like you said, are linked. I know that for sure. I do it, of course, just to see, the mindset of where. But for me, when it comes to certain stuff, yes, I'm always going to definitely choose the quality. And yes, quality is very subjective. And my aspect is, and I link it to the point of giving your best. That's why when I think of inequality aspect. But if, of course, if we're talking about, like you said, the quality of like suffering, every other different stuff, it's like, yeah, we're gonna flip and turn on things. That's again, that's the beauty of not necessarily only wanting just quality and quantity, but knowing that those are together. But if I were to have to just pick one, I definitely would pick quality, because not only I would like to live, a life of quality, and again, that's going to be determined on how I'm going to bring about that quality. Whether if I want it to be the suffering, whether I want it to be fulfillment, wherever it is, it's like I have that input, I had that action to put behind it. But
Word.
it's always respects. Like to me, there's no right or wrong answer. Again, it's your intention behind what you're going to do with it. But
Of course not.
yeah, again, brother, I know, like I said, I can do so much more on that, man. I appreciate you. It's hit an hour. I was trying to get my best to be under there, but we right there at it, bro. Exactly. We good, my G.
Hey,
But again, appreciate you so much coming through. That was one of the last of the questions I had for you, brother. If y'all do not know who this is right now, please, this is Phase Farer Vic. Please go follow this man on all social medias. Even though he keeps on saying y'all can go listen to other people and don't worry about him, please go take some time to go listen to this brother's new project called SPAMM, which stands for Strange Poems, All Mellow Moods. Is
or the
all
other
out on
one.
all platforms, or any of the other ones he has, but this is the one I definitely would want y'all to see, to get a grasp of the innovation of reinventing when it comes to the spark of light from this brother. And again, come back through for more interviews and more of them to come from your brother. And with that, if you have anything else left to say, my brother, go ahead and say before I close out for this interview today.
Will do as usual. You know where I'm going with it. I appreciate you. Yo, people, this person that I'm in that's interviewing me and I'm chopping it up with is a brother from another mother. He is a good dude. We need more people like him on this planet. Open minded, uh, curious, soulful, and really wants to see the best for the people around him and everywhere. So please like, follow, subscribe. On top of that, very potent MC, very potent and respected MC in our circle. Don't try it with him. His swords are sharp. Okay. But beyond that, the samurai behind it is a man of pure quality. And this is why, we love and respect him, and we have to continue to support him and give him his flowers that he is due. So thank you, brother. That is, and to everybody up in here, we have family in here. I've got brothers in here that are watching, and I love y'all for real. I was so close to quitting, but my builders kept me afloat. Right, my builders, many of the mofo's in here, helped kept me afloat, and it helped me to realize myself and keep building to that future self. So I appreciate everybody in here and everybody out there. Even if you don't know us, much respect, much love, much light. We don't care where you're from, what you're doing, what you believe. This is how we're moving. All right. We want peace. We want peace everywhere. So that way we can continue to do what we do. All right.
Yes. Thank you for that note, brother. And on that note, we'll catch y'all for another installment of more interviews very soon.
Yeah.
I'm not going to spoil anything. We're going to still got a lot more stuff to figure out. But once again, thank you, Phase Farer Vic, for coming through. Thank you to everyone that's in here watching. If you want to see more interviews, please tap in on IG. And this is also going to be going up on YouTube. So if y'all want to catch the playback on there too, it's going to be on YouTube as well. But with that, y'all, we'll see y'all next time for another installment of more interviews, and appreciate y'all's time. Other than that, peace and one love, and we are out.